Welcome back, everyone. I'm Tom Murphy, and this is Trinidad Now on TT TV Channel 71, and we are also on YouTube on Trinidad Times TV 71. With me today is Representative Wes McKinley. Now, Wes, I thank you for joining us. We haven't been doing any shows for a while because we've been busy doing other things, but it is political season.
It is that, Tom.
And it's primary season, so
That's
it's
right.
June. This is the first part of June.
Mm-hmm.
We're not used to doing political shows this early, but the primaries have been moved back. So you are running for county commissioner, right?
Yes, County Commissioner, District 1, Los Animas County.
Okay. Well, Wes, I've had you on the show a couple of times, I think, maybe 2-3 times. I lost track. But I appreciate you coming on. And you've been through this with me before. And the first thing I like to do is talk about your personal background because, number one, I've known you for a while. A lot of people have known you, but the people who have moved to town have no idea who Wes McKinley is. So instead of talking to me as somebody you know, talk to me like somebody that you've just met.
Well, Tom, actually, I'm an old cowboy born on the Cimarron River a long time ago. Times is tough and they ain't changed much. We did a little show out at Cokedale, cooked hamburgers. Kind of brought back old memories. There in the museum, there's this school scene with the old desk and the teacher sitting there and the blackboard, and that's where I went to school. Went to school at Mitchell, started in the first grade, no running water. Well, we had running water. We run out to the windmill and got it when we wanted it. And no bathroom. We run outside to the bathroom, and all 8 grades represented there, and then every day we run the flag up, said Pledge of Allegiance. That made an impression upon me that this was a country. I didn't hardly know there's anybody existed but my immediate family and about 5 friends till I was 14 and went to town. Pretty isolated existence. Then, of course, met Jan in high school, my wife. We were married for 46 years. Had 3 kids of her own, and she wanted to save all the kids of the world. And she made a start because we adopted 5 kids. And we were foster parents to something 25, 30 kids from all over the world.
Grief.
And that was her. She was the power on that. And of course, she's gone now. But that legacy will always live on.
Right. So you grew up in eastern Colorado?
Yes.
You are from Colorado?
Yes, born and raised there.
Right.
Overlooked the Santa Fe Trail. My granddad came in here and right at the turn of the century with his brother Charles. Charles McKinley homesteaded there, and then Charles left then during the Depression at 30 and moved to Branson. Established a home there to Branson, right at the old toll gate. If anybody remembers where the toll gate was, south of Branson, Charles lived there. Then Charles moved into Trinidad in the 40s, and we'd come over and visit with Charles. Lived right at the bottom of Simpson's Rest. I'm the oldest of 6 boys. We'd only be there about 15, 30 minutes, and Charles and Aunt Avis had said, you boys want to climb Simpson's Rest? I think they was getting kind of tired. They wanted us out of there. We was a little rowdy. So we did that. Always had fond memories of Trinidad, and it's quite fortunate Jan and I, when I was in the legislature, we were going to move over here, but then she got ill. So I went ahead and continued that mission to move over here and be county commissioner. Right.
Well, where did you go to college at?
Went to college in Goodwell, Oklahoma, Panhandle State University. Worked my way through college as a cowboy. That's all I ever wanted to be, was a cowboy. I worked my way through college, worked for Jack Freeman on the Freeman-Frisco ranch and the Anchor D ranches. And it sounds like quite a feat, but you look at what it cost us, and it's pretty sad, but it was easy to do, to work your way through college at $1 an hour. A lot of my friends did. We all did. And we graduated with degrees, and then I taught school for a few years. After that, Frankfield, Colorado, Clayton, New Mexico, right there, Clayton. I taught school there, and then ranch, worked in the oil fields. And then I got involved in that grand jury. I got a notice in the mail one day to be on a special
Which grand jury?
Special Grand Jury 89-2.
Right.
Wound up being a government cover-up. The government was covering up environmental crimes, and I wrote the book about that. You can look at Ambush Grand Jury, and that'll tell you the story. Through that, I got interested in politics, and I never really thought much about it till I'd been through that experience. And Tom, democracy is not a spectator form of government.
No, it's not.
You sit there and don't do anything, and you're going to look at the score at the end, and you're probably not going to like it. And if you don't get involved in it, why, we're not going to have much of a representative form of government. but you got 4 of them by the people means we got to do something.
Right. And weren't you actually the jury foreman?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I became the jury foreman on that, and I did not go along with the cover-up. I stood up to the government and said, you're not going to do that, and was successful in that, and through that, because of that, then that led me into the political arena.
Right. And when was the grand jury investigation? What years were those?
It started in 1989, and we were dismissed in 92.
You were on for 3 years?
Yes, sir. Now, we went to Denver. I went to Denver 3 to 5 days a week, well, every month. I spent 3 to 5 days every month in Denver on that special grand jury.
Right. And I guess I'm not really familiar with grand jury investigations. What does that mean? They were presenting evidence to you of what was happening?
Well, and this goes back to the Constitution. Before you can be charged with a crime, you have to be indicted by a grand jury. Now, a grand jury is a tribunal body answerable to its own consciousness. So you're not under the direction of the courts. I thought a grand jury sat both to the right and the left of the judge and pondered very deep legal decision. That was one of the things our founding fathers took from the old England, and that goes back years ago, many, many years ago, because we needed some kind of a buffer between the people and the legal system and the government. So before you can be indicted, now it's not a jury of your peers.
Okay.
See, when you're charged with a crime, when you go to court, your defense attorney will try to get all of your buddies on the jury, and the prosecutor will try to get all the others. You know, like if you go to jail, well, let's say you're in court on a drinking charge.
Right.
Well, your attorney's going to try to get all your drinking buddies on the jury. And the prosecutor's going to try to get all the temperance people on the jury. So somewhere they'll arrive at a medium. But whenever you're a grand jury, it's a random selection, a pure selection of the people. So you choose, and they come from all over, and you get together, and you are to be the judge of your own consciousness. That's it. They can't force you. They can't influence you. Not supposed to. They do.
Right.
We weren't influenced. We weren't coerced. They tried, but we did not go along with it. And then at the end, you make a decision. Now, you don't say you're guilty or innocent.
Right.
But you simply say, yes, there is cause to believe that this person, individual, did this. So go ahead and put him on trial and prove it. Or the jury can say no.
So that's all it is. It's just a precursor to a trial.
Well, not really a precursor. It's to see whether the government can actually go through with this or not.
Okay.
And what this grand jury did, Tom, and I led this, we wanted to indict the government officials that had actually contaminated our environment. And the government wanted to charge individuals that were simply following orders. They wanted to charge them with a criminal crime. And then they would say justice was served. And then at the end of that, and this is all in the newspapers because I'm still under some secrecy rules here, the company, Rockwell International, defense contractor, pled guilty to 10 environmental crimes. And the largest environmental fine ever levied was levied against Rockwell International, $18 million. However, you, the taxpayer, paid that $18 million because the 3 years they were under investigation, they did nothing. They couldn't. They were under investigation.
Right.
And they built bombs. That was essentially what they did. They built bombs. They quit building them because they were under investigation. At the end of that 3-year time, they got a bonus of $18 million from the taxpayer. They turned around and paid that. That did not make me real happy.
Right.
So how can you give somebody a bonus for doing nothing?
Right.
And then charge them? And there's some government officials was bragging about the largest environmental crime ever being levied against a corporation, and justice was served. Well, the truth of the matter is the grand jury wanted to indict government officials because we have to have some accountability in our government. Mm-hmm. And if we can start making those government officials accountable, then we can start getting representative. But there's no accountability in them, then we're done.
Right.
We didn't get them indicted. and they charged the company. It's ironic that Rockwell International was not charged with those crimes because the grand jury refused to sign the indictments against Rockwell International. But yet they pled guilty. Now, how do you plead guilty to something that you weren't indicted for?
Right.
So that's where I started realizing that all might not be well with our government.
Right.
So I got involved in it.
So what was your first office? What did you run for?
Well, Tom, my first office, I was the secretary of the student council.
Okay.
Back in 62 or
Okay. Okay.
Well, that was quite a while ago. I was a state representative. 2005.
2005. That was your first. Okay.
First office as a state representative.
And you were reelected three times.
Yes, I'm term limited out.
Right.
That's why I want to bring that experience down here.
Okay.
Is that I served 8 years at the state capitol.
Well, before you go on, let me just throw the question in here because you're about to answer it anyway. I want to act like I'm participating. What's the reason for running then? Because that's what you're about to say anyway. So.
I have 8 years experience.
Right.
I really like that experience. I'm much better than I was. And when I went in, I didn't really have any grand ideas. I was pretty humble. Mm-hmm. First week up, because everybody else had all these great ideas they were going to do for the country, for a state. And they asked me, and I thought, the people down there, they sent me up there because not what they wanted from the government, because we don't really want much. We just kind of want to be left alone. And it's not what the government can do to us, for us, that we want. It's what they're going to do to us that makes us nervous. So when I got in there with the 8 years experience, I want to continue that. I know quite a bit about the state laws, grants,
right,
water issues, private property. Those are all been liberty, justice for all. I know something about that. Of course, that goes back to my legal experience starting in the grand jury, some 22 years ago.
Right.
So I want to continue that experience, and I like doing it. You do some things, and you find out you kind of like doing it. You kind of like the fights. You've seen me in some of the fights up at the Capitol. And
yes, I have, and we're going to talk about that in a bit.
I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of you.
No, that's okay.
But sometimes you wonder why do we really do things? And I have this experience. I could be a cowboy. That's all I really wanted to do was a cowboy. I've been happy doing that. But I want to share this other thing, and I feel like that this is something I want to do and I want to bring forth.
Okay.
And do that. And if the people believe in that and they want that, well, then I will. And if not, and I'll be happy, because if I'm doing what I feel's right, then I'm content, and I have to live with myself.
So why would you be a good county commissioner? Or is that sum it up right there, or is there more to it?
Well, my 8 years experience, it's kind of like, who do you go to if you have a health problem?
Right.
You go to the guy, you'd really rather not go to the guy that's doing his intern.
Right.
You want to go to the doctor that's got some experience.
Right.
It is. I want to bring that forth. So that's why I think I've got experience, I've got knowledge, I've got training.
Right. Okay. Well, Wes, I think this is probably a good point to take a break. We've got to let people go get some water and go to the bathroom if they need to. So you and I are going to take a break too. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tom Murphy. This is Trinidad Now on TTTV, and we'll be right back.